This is the true crime case of Jacksonville's drill rap scene, where mocking their enemies and celebrating their in their music was not uncommon. This diss track culture got worse when McCormick had released a diss track that mocked the of Willie Addison, a rival rapper who went by the name Boss Goon. What went wrong was the comeback wasn't through a song, but through Would you believe that in this twisted tale of revenge and retribution, it would be a father who would ultimately testify against his son? In this video, let's take a closer look at the Queso case. Welcome to True Crime with Grandpa. You are awesome and don't believe people who tell you otherwise. In Jacksonville, Florida, lived a 23-year-old Charles McCormick Jr., who was popular as Lil Buck in the rap scene. He was part of a group called 6 Block. Those were the days when McCormick was trying to find steady employment. On January 15th, 2020, he had an appointment at a staffing agency. After finishing his business there, McCormick walked out of the staffing agency building. That's when a masked man jumped out of the Altima and immediately started at McCormick. When McCormick tried to escape, the masked man chased him all along. Everything happening was being recorded on multiple surveillance cameras. This chase ended with McCormick taking his last lying on the road. The masked man got back into the Altima car and tried to speed away from the crime scene, but police patrol cars were already chasing them. The car crashed and came to a stop. 3 men jumped out and ran in different directions, leaving their behind in the vehicle. 2 of the men broke into a nearby house and held a woman. They contacted somebody who had picked both the criminals and helped them in their escape. So much chaos happened in such a short time, and it ended with heartbreak for McCormick's family and friends. Police had plenty of evidence to work with right from the start. They had the getaway car left behind, multiple surveillance videos showing the masked chasing McCormick while at him, and evidence from the house the suspects broke into after the car crash. 3 armed men had been on a mission that day, driving around in a stolen Nissan Altima. The car were covered with fingerprints that would help identify the suspects. When the car crashed, 2 people broke into a house and took a woman home. The woman noticed the tattoos on one of the men who grabbed her by the suspect also left his DNA on her neck when he held her. Using this evidence, police tracked down a suspect named Dominique Barner. During a police lineup, the woman looked at Barner's tattoos and identified him as one of the 2 men who had broken into her house and held her. Barner got arrested, and in August 2020, he made a plea deal to cooperate and give a detailed confession about everything from the planning to the execution. In exchange for testifying against his co-defendants, he would receive a sentence of 20 years instead of life behind bars. The incident on McCormick was retaliation for a diss track he had made about Willie Addison's. The song reportedly mocked not only Addison's, but also made fun of how his father, brother, and cousin had been injured in the same. This wasn't just a drill rap thing or diss track thing anymore. It was humiliation for the Robinson family. They decided to seek revenge and started planning for it. Barner, Queso, Abdul, and Leroy had conspired against McCormick over the diss track. According to Barner, they had originally planned for the crime in December 2019, but waited until McCormick returned to Jacksonville after the holidays. On the morning of January 15th, 2020, Barner said the group drove to McCormick's apartment complex in the stolen Nissan Altima and waited for hours. When McCormick finally left, they followed him to the staffing agency. Queso and the gang waited for McCormick to come out of the staffing agency. The original plan was to wait until McCormick returned to his car and then start so it would lead to an easier escape. But Queso couldn't wait and jumped out to start the moment McCormick exited the building. Barner also said that Robinson Sr. picked them up from the house they broke into and helped them destroy the evidence by burning the clothes. Police took Robinson Sr. into custody. On September 9, 2020, nearly 8 months after the incident, Queso was arrested. His cousin Leroy and his brother Abdul Robinson Jr. were also charged with the crime. The arrests shocked Jacksonville's rap community and made headlines everywhere. The trial began in July 2025, more than 5 years after McCormick's incident. Abdul Robinson Jr. was scheduled to be tried separately from his brother Queso and their cousin Leroy. The prosecution's case was built on multiple forms of evidence: surveillance video, DNA analysis, cell phone records, and the testimony of both Barner and Abdul Robinson Sr., and all it painted a clear picture of premeditated crime motivated by personal revenge. On July 31, 2025, the jury found Queso and Leroy were found guilty of the premeditated crime and faced life sentences without the possibility of parole. The trial for Abdul Robinson Jr. is ongoing and the judgment is pending. Meanwhile, their father, Abdul Robinson Sr., and Barner both accepted plea deals for reduced sentences of up to 20 years in exchange for their testimony. When prosecutors showed the surveillance video of the masked to Abdul Robinson Sr. and asked him to identify who it was, he answered, "My son." When they asked him to be more specific about which son, Robinson Sr. said, "Hakeem," who was also known as Queso. While rivalry was common in the drill rap scene, McCormick's diss track about Willie Addison's crossed a line by mocking not just Willie, but his entire family too. Ever since McCormick released that track, the humiliation kept building up, and Queso and the gang decided to plan and carry out their revenge. In the world of drill rap, talking tough and dissing your enemies is just part of the game. But McCormick didn't have to make that diss track that mocked Willie Addison's and made fun of his family members. The insult got too personal and went after the whole family. Maybe that's where you have to draw the line. As for Queso and his family, I understand it. When someone mocks your loved ones who nearly, it cuts deep. But it was never going to bring Willie Addison back or heal the pain they were feeling. Instead of turning that hurt into plans for revenge, Queso could have used his platform and his music to honor his stepbrother's memory in a way that would have made a positive difference. Abdul Robinson Sr. had already lost one stepson to and nearly lost another son and other family members. When it came down to it, he had no choice but to testify against his own son. The saddest part is that all of these young men had real talent and potential that just got wasted. So what do you think about this case? If you were the victim, how would you try to get away? I'd love to read your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed my storytelling, please give your grandpa a like and subscribe, and turn on notifications so you won't miss the next true crime case.